Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Matt and it is Terrifying Tuesday. First and foremost, I hope each and every one of you are having a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk. All that wonderful stuff because life's too short as is without being happy, because that's what's most important in life, is making yourself happy. Now, I hope all of you do like, share, and subscribe. If you're new here, you could always find out a little more information about the film in the description box, and you can also get a link for the trailer in there as well. So if you ever want to see more about the film that I'm reviewing for the day, you can always look at that right there. Alright, so let's get on to today's film. Today's is a very, very fun one. It's so cheesy, it's so bad, but it's so good. I watch it probably 2 or 3 times a year. I've already watched it twice this year, and it's only been maybe 3-4 weeks. I think I watched it a month ago. It's one that I adore, and it just makes me happy watching this movie. So I hope some of you, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's worth the watch. It makes me, like I said, it makes me happy. If you guys don't like it, I'm sorry. I know it's not for everyone. It is one of those that it's so bad it's a good kind of movie. So I can understand why somebody does not like this one. But it makes me sad in the same sense because it's so fun. It's silly. It doesn't take itself serious, and plus you get some fun performances in there. Not amazing, but fun performances in there. So do keep all of this in mind. This is easily a Friday review because I love this movie so much. It's one that I just adore. Now this one, it's kind of weird. It says it by IMDb. It says it's released by 1979. Now this thing was filmed in 81 and didn't come out till 83. So how does 1979 come into play there? I have no idea. So I'm gonna put 1983 down. So if any of you IMDb it and you don't come across it as 83, it's listed as 1979 for God knows whatever reason. I know that a lot of there is a lot of 70s influence in it, though. It's very, very visible and right there in your face. It almost feels like a 70s film, or actually, it feels like an early 80s film, which that's exactly what it is. It just has that vibe. It's just sleazy enough, and it's cheeseball. So the year thing on that is kind of weird for the releases, so keep that there in mind. This is definitely not rated. It runs at an hour and 26 minutes. It was originally supposed to be a 90-minute film, but some of the footage that they added on was lost throughout time, and it got destroyed or whatnot, and it's no longer available. So there is parts of it that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. And the original opening sequence was much different as well, or was going to be much different. But it was supposed to involve a grocery market, a local grocery store, and May, the wife of our good old lead Donald, played by Jackie Vernon, which is just one of my favorite performances from him. The guy plays Frosty the Snowman in the old animated feature for the holiday season. It's also got Back to the. I'm sorry. I wanted to get back onto the runtime on this one. Now, like I said, it was supposed to be like a 90 some minute film, which in the commentary you do get that, and there's also a really cool making of documentary. Or not, like, it's a remembering kind of documentary. It's got one of the stars and the director and the producer on there giving you a very good description of how things were back then when they were filming it and what it was like to work with Jackie Vernon. And one of the things they do talk about is that runtime and what happened to it, and of course the different opening sequence, which was because of the grocery store backed out last minute, like last minute. They were on their way there to go. They were getting everything ready to go film, and they backed out. That's just so crazy to think, or so. It's cool that they were able to come up with a different opening on the fly, because that just showed how much love they had for this film and how much they wanted to get it out there. Now we got Loren Schein in here playing May. We got Al Troupe. We got Troupe, Claire Ginsburg and Luann Weber, and a bunch of other scantily clad beauties in there as well. And this is directed by Wayne Berwick, and this is none other than Microwave Massacre. Dink-a-dink-a-dink. I love this movie. It's one that like I said, I watch probably 2-3 times a year. One of these times, I think it'd be a great double feature with Nostril Picker in some ways, just because they're both so bad they're good type films. Now, this release here is from Arrow. It's not the old Anthem release or Cheesy Flicks release, I believe, or whoever. I think it was Anthem, but it's not that release there. Obviously, by looking at it, because that one has a very specific artwork, and it's white and has a picture of Jackie Vernon on there, and it says it says something like the worst movie ever made. One of those ordeals. This one has dropped that, which makes me happy, because this is not the worst movie ever made. The worst movie I've ever seen is probably Snuff 102. No, I'm kidding. I really dislike that one with a passion. I'm sorry, guys. I just really do not like that one. I think that's a lump of shit. Along with The Butcher, the Korean film, that one's worse. That one is so bad. It's annoying. It makes The Amazing Bulk and The Room and Birdemic look like masterpieces, in my opinion. But that's all it is my opinion. Now let me show you this release here. It does have, this is the original artwork that they did have it on the old big box, big box VHS. It does have a newly commissioned artwork in here on the reverse side, which is very cool looking. I do like that reversible artwork as well. I just happen to love the original a lot more, because that's just where my heart lies. I'm a purist, but I'm not a purist. And this does come with it is a Blu-ray DVD, just to keep in mind, folks, on that one there. It is the combo. So if you don't have a Blu-ray player, or if your Blu-ray player is wonky, which I had that problem until I eventually got a new one. But I had an old player that got all wonky, and they didn't play, and it wouldn't play Blu-rays after a while. It really one of those things, it pissed me off. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Now, what is this movie about? Okay, it's about this guy named Donald, who is a construction worker who hates his life, essentially. He's working at this crappy job. His wife is a bitch. She can't make anything good for as far as food. So he's just really upset with things. And one night he decides he's going to kill his wife, May, and he cuts her up into small pieces and happens to place her body, wraps it all up in aluminum foil and places it ever so conveniently in a freezer in the garage or downstairs in their basement or wherever it is that they have this freezer full of meat that also is wrapped in aluminum foil. If you see what I'm going at here, can you dig it? But anyways, so they're conveniently wrapped with the same aluminum foil as well. So one night he's up and he's hungry and he goes to get himself a meal, get himself something to eat, and he's chomping on it and without looking, and he's really liking it. He eventually looks and sees what it is, and it's a hand, and he's been eating off of the part where almost the wrist area, like in between the wrist and the forearm area, right around in there. He's chomping down on it. It's kind of funny. But and then it quickly turns him on into being a cannibal. Now, this movie, like I said, this had it was originally supposed to have a different opening sequence. It was supposed to be a sequence of May, the wife, going through a grocery market and looking at different meats and different foods. And I believe it was intercut with stuff that was going on with Donald himself at his job. Now, that didn't happen. They did, however, get one amazing opening sequence, one where it's this girl that is very buxom, just very, very stacked built, goes over and she's looking through this hole, this hole in a wall that happens to be where you can see all these construction workers doing their job. Some guy comes up, pinches her in the butt, which in turn makes her chest go in the hole, and she's stuck, and as she's wiggling around trying to get out, her top opens up and her boobies are exposed. How does that happen? I have no freaking clue, guys. It makes no sense. But it is magical, because then you get to see a couple of the other characters running and racing towards this buxom blonde in her big old boobies. But she's able to pull them out just in time before one of the creepy guys gets a hold of her. So Donald becomes a cannibal. He's eating on his wife, decides that the meat is too old and too tough to eat on, so he goes and he's looking for new, fresher victims, and they all happen to be like Playboy-esque bunny like sexy ladies who you all see naked at some point or another. So if you're looking for something that's got a lot of sleaze and a lot of nudity, do keep that in mind, because this one does deliver on the goods as far as that. It's almost, it gets silly, in fact. Like, there's even a moment where he has one girl laying on a piece of bread, and he's got a giant knife, and he is smearing mayonnaise on her, and he sticks another giant piece of bread on her, and he starts to cut her like she's a giant sandwich. Very silly. That shows another thing of what kind of film this is. And so the cannibalism, he eats everything from this giant microwave. It is like one of the craziest contraptions I've ever seen. I forget who the art director was now off the top of my head, but he was one of the art directors off of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he was able to create these amazing set pieces with limited budget, and he came up with this insane looking microwave, and it is like a double-decker oven, convection oven looking type thing. It is just it's just massive, and it's awe-inspiring. No, not awe-inspiring, not at all. It is Makes your head shake a little bit, like holy crap, that just screams radiation. But there is a giant sticker inside that is a cautionary to people with pacemakers, and our pleasant friend Donald happens to have a pacemaker, so that's what the movie's about. Now, how is it put together on technical wise? Technically wise, this thing is a goddamn nightmare. It is one of those that it's suffers from a lot of gaping plot holes. There's like silly moments where like May's sister, I think her name's Edith, if memory serves me correct, she is held captive in the closet of Donald and May's house, and he stuffed like a roll of like a half part of like French bread down her throat to gag her, and he has her tied up. And as time goes, they show a couple times he goes into this closet, and the bread is getting greener and greener and greener. One of those things like, really, you couldn't just bite down to get out type moments. I don't know, like it was that just it made me just giggle, like how like silly it gets. But like there's things about the story that make no sense. The doctor, there's a whole doctor scene where they basically set up the whole pacemaker scene. It's set up very wonky like, but it works perfectly for this movie. You wouldn't be able to see it work anywhere else but Microwave Massacre. So on a technical side, this thing's only a 2, man. This thing's, like I said, it's below average. It's a nightmare, but it is better than like a Birdemic or an Amazing Bulk or Snuff 102 or just any or Survival of the Dead, Diarrhea of the Dead. That one is one that I absolutely don't like either. I think that is a god awful movie. But as far as entertainment-wise goes, this thing's a solid 4 out of 5. It's above average. It's almost perfect on the entertainment scale, in my opinion. It's got everything. It's got a fun, catchy soundtrack to it. It's got fun acting, over-the-top acting with John Vernon is from Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Animal House. But Jackie Vernon, who had an illustrious career as a stand-up comedian, delivering a lot of like classic one-liners and doing silly little things, like when he's killing May with a salt grinder type thing. He puts some salt in his hand and tosses it over his left shoulder for good luck and stuff like that. It's wonky and silly. It's fun. Alright guys, I'm going to get the hell out of here. 17 minutes on this video. I could talk to you guys for another 45 minutes about this movie because that's my love and adoration for this one. But I'm going to spare you guys all of that, and you guys let me know what you think about this movie. Is it good or bad? Do you guys think do you guys agree with me on a 7 out of 10? Alright. I mean a 6 out of 10? Alright. Love your faces and peace.